So, Russ, how did you end up going to the University of Pittsburgh?
It was actually by default. I wanted to go to Penn State, and Penn State was on me early. I wanted to be a linebacker at Penn State, and then once the recruiting period hit, I didn't hear from them for about 2 or 3 weeks. Then they came in late, and I'd already made up my mind I was going to stay right there in the area and go to Pittsburgh.
Did Johnny Majors recruit you at Pittsburgh, or Jackie Sherrill, or who was recruiting back then?
Jackie Sherrill recruited me. Actually, Foge Fazio was the guy that recruited me.
Did you have any idea you were going to play offensive line, or did you want to play?
None whatsoever. I was there for 2 years as a linebacker. I played on some special teams my sophomore year. And then Jackie called me in after my sophomore year, right before spring ball, and said that they lost a bunch of guys on the offensive line, and they thought it was in my best interest if I would switch over and play center. So,
were you for that, or you didn't have a choice?
No, I never had my hand in three-point stance. I was a linebacker and quarterback in high school, so it was new. But I was 242 at the time, and spring ball was a little rough because we had an All-American nose tackle with Dave Logan, who played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but came back in the fall at 265 and won the starting job. And then my senior year, I was about 280. So
Pittsburgh had some pretty good linebackers there in the early 80s with, what was it, Ricky Jackson, Hugh Green?
Yep.
So I mean, you were pretty loaded.
Yeah, we were. I think we finished both years second in the country, and nobody wanted to play us. If they were number one, they didn't want to play us in the bowl game. So we always had to sit and hope somebody lost and they didn't lose. But that's the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, we had some real good football teams.
Who was your offensive line coach at University of Pittsburgh?
Joe Moore.
How did Joe Moore help you become a great offensive lineman?
I think he was a great. He's a great motivator, and he's also he's a good teacher. And we had a lot of good players. So I mean, all 5 guys that I played with, the guys I played with my senior year, they all went on. Mark May was a right tackle. Jimbo Covert was a left tackle. So,
how hard was it not having the chance to win a national championship at Pittsburgh?
It was tough because we felt we had the best team, but we lost a game each year. We lost one game to North Carolina, 12-10, and we lost my senior year, I think, to Florida State, 32-27 or something like that. So, but we should have run the table.
What was it like playing with Dan Marino in college?
No, it's great. I mean, the guy's talented. He gets the ball out of there in a hurry. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of games that were over by halftime.
Did you realize that you had a chance to play in the NFL when you were at Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I thought, after my junior year, I thought I had a chance to go on to play in the NFL.
What was it like when you found out the Redskins drafted you?
Oh, I was just glad. Whoever drafted me. The draft wasn't televised back then. It was, actually it was trout season, and I was fishing in the morning, and when I got home, my parents said the Redskins had called, and I called them back, and they said they drafted me. So I was off to D.C.
When you joined the Redskins, they hadn't had the success since the early 70s, and when you got there, you had Joe Gibbs as your coach. Did you realize that you guys had a chance to go play for some championships when you joined them?
Not initially. We started out the 81 season. We started 0-5. We finished 81 8-8, and we thought that things had turned for the better, and we had a little momentum going. And then 82, we won the Super Bowl after the 82 season. And then 83, we went again, but we lost to the Raiders. But we had some good teams.
With that first Super Bowl, what do you think the key was to you guys winning that?
Just Gibbs staying with the game plan of running the ball.
Because your quarterback was getting up in age and size, and you had a running back in John Riggins who was probably in his early 30s there.
Right.
And again, you just seemed like 81 you just took off, or 82 you just took off.
Yep. I think we were, we were solid everywhere. Special teams, the 83 team. We have a record. we were like I want to say plus 42 or plus 43 in turnovers ratio. I mean, I don't think that'll ever be broke. But yeah, I mean, it was a smart football team, physical football team, and we tried not to beat ourselves.
Did you enjoy pass blocking or run blocking more?
Oh, run blocking.
Why was that?
Pass blocking's like it's a little passive. I mean, you got to be under control for a little while. I always say it's like controlled aggression. Run blocking, you can cut it loose.
Who gave you guys the nickname the Hogs?
What's that?
Who gave you guys the nickname the Hogs?
Joe Bugle.
How did that come about? Just the way
it was just up in camp, and he just said, all right, let's go Hogs. He said let's go Hogs down to hit the sleds, and one of the reporters picked up on it, and the next thing I know, the fans got a hold of it, and it took off from there.
When you played the Raiders in that Super Bowl, you guys were heavy favorites, and came out of nowhere and won that game. What do you think caused you guys to lose that Super Bowl?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's obviously we played them that year and beat them. I mean, it was a tight game. We beat them, in the last minute or 2 minutes of the game. But they were a good football team. They were solid. They were talented, and we made some mistakes. We threw the interception on the screen for a touchdown. We had some big plays on special teams against us. So, and we may have got a little complacent too, since we had already beaten them during the year.
When you guys were playing against other defenses, did teams get fired up to play against the Hogs because they get that reputation as the best line in the league?
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, the nickname was great. We had, our own fan base and things like that. But then again, every Sunday you better be able to back it up.
What defensive lineman gave you the most trouble?
Probably when I first came in the league my rookie year, my first couple of years against Randy White with Dallas.
What made Randy so tough?
He's quick, he's strong. I mean, he has both qualities as a defensive lineman, and the guy's he's a good player.
Did you ever go against Dexter in practice?
What's that?
Did you ever go against Dexter Manley in practice?
No, he's usually out on the tackles.
Who would you go against?
I went against usually Darryl Grant in practice.
Did that make you a better player going against Darryl every day in practice?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a physical, quick guy, and I mean that's the thing. It's just you want to make each other better. So I mean, you can't just take plays off and go easy, or nobody gets any better.
You had some great line coaches. You mentioned Joe Moore, and you mentioned with Washington you had a great line coach. What did the line coach in Washington, Joe Bugle, teach you?
Buggs was a great teacher of assignments. That was his. I think that was his biggest thing. I mean, we went into the games knowing exactly who we had. So it wasn't. I mean, we never went in where it was, hey, they surprised us with something. He was solid in making sure covering that everybody knew exactly what to do.
What was unique with you won 3 Super Bowls with the Redskins? What was unique is you had a different quarterback with each win.
Right.
Do you think that? Why do you think that was? Do you think it was just that the line made the quarterback better, or?
Well, I think those. I think all 3 of those teams were. It just wasn't one-dimensional. We didn't need necessarily for the quarterback to carry us. I mean, we had a running game, we had a defense. I think it was a combination of everything.
Was there more pressure playing in the nation's capital at that time?
No, because, I mean, D.C. is a transit area. So as long as you're playing well, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. But as soon as things start to head downhill for a week or two, it's like everybody jumps back like, oh, I'm originally from Boston. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I'm originally from wherever. They'll jump back to the home team if we weren't playing well. But no, I love the fans in D.C. They were great.
What was Coach Gibbs like?
Hard worker, consistent. I mean, we knew he slept at the office. He put in the time, and so when we got the game plan put in, when it was installed, you could just look at it and know that all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed, and they checked everything off.
Who was the leader of your offensive lines back then?
I don't know if we really had leaders. It was, I mean, it's more towards making sure everybody's on the same page, and I think the guys that were playing there just fit that mold. I mean, it was a close knit group that didn't want to let the other guy down.
Being a Bears fan, I remember the '85 Super Bowl, and then the next 2 years in the playoffs, we meet the Redskins. You guys knocked us out the first round each time. How hard? I mean, was that Bears team just not prepared for you guys, or you guys just had their number?
I don't know. They beat us 1 year in the playoffs. I remember. I think it was the year they won the Super Bowl. They beat us in D.C.
And then the next 2 years, you just had their number.
Yeah, but it's not always having the number. It's just, I think the one game Darryl Green returned a punt for a touchdown. I mean, there were some things that happened that kind of turned the game around in our direction. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite team to play on?
No, I would say probably the '82 team, just because for a lot of us it was our second year, first Super Bowl win. But I tell people all the time the '83 team may have been the best team that I ever played on. And we lost 2 games that year, both of them by 1 point, and then we lost the Super Bowl. So, but that may have been the best team I played on.
How did you know when it was time to call it a career?
Just because I knew I didn't want to play if I couldn't play up to the best of my ability. So, I mean, we won the Super Bowl against Buffalo, and I went in a month later, and, they had that plan B, and I told Coach, I said, you can put me on plan C. I said, I'm going to retire. And, he was like, what? We just won the Super Bowl. I says, yeah, but, that last year I'd played 2 games. I was out 1. I'd played 3 games. I was out 2. I mean, things just started to fall apart.
How did it feel when you found out you were going to the Hall of Fame?
What's that?
How did you feel when you found out you were making the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
When I played, I never thought about the Hall of Fame. I mean, it was never a big thing on my mind. It was never a big goal. I just wanted to, win games. But, obviously when you're done playing, then that's something that I look forward to. And, when I made it, I was like, I can't believe I made the Hall of Fame. Because, I go to Canton and I'm in the same room listening to, the Joe Greens and the Franco Harris and, the guys that have been in the league a long, long time, listen to them talk about their experience, the Deacon Jones. And, I mean, it was a great feeling.
Hopefully your teammate Joe Jacoby gets in eventually.
I hope so. He deserves it. I think he's got 1 more year left, so I think next year's the last year before he goes on the senior list. Which,
again, I don't like this new process where they have the finalists have to sit in a hotel room and wait for the president to knock on their door. I mean, Joe's been there the last 2 years. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, that's not, But it's tough, especially with the linemen, because there's really no stats. It's not like how many sacks or anything like that. And the thing is, I told them when I was at the Hall of Fame, I said, if they don't do 7 guys a year, I said, then there's going to be a lot of guys not get in that deserve to be in. So it'll be interesting. He deserves to be in.
Oh, he does. Is there a guy you patterned yourself after growing up, a football player?
No, not really. I always thought, growing up, I always wanted to be like the next Dick Butkus. And then I was a big Lambert fan growing up in the Pittsburgh area. I mean, I just like to hit people. I wanted to be a linebacker, but started to for the first 2 years, and then they switched me over and put my hand in the dirt. So,
you ever get a chance? Did you ever have a chance to go against Jack Lambert in the NFL?
No.
Was there a guy you went up against who thought to yourself, you know what? If I could take this guy on, I could take anybody on?
Oh, Harry Carson and I used to have some battles with the Giants. And, I mean, there would be days that I got him now. He's going to go out of the game. And, nope, wouldn't leave the field. He's a tough nut.
I remember talking to John Randall, and he said he made a living out of talking trash with the offensive linemen. He knew their whole history, their girlfriends, where they went to college. Did you ever have that with any linemen who are talking trash to you?
No.
Trying to get in your head?
No. No, I don't. First off, I wouldn't put up with it, and second off, I don't think anybody wanted to do that to me anyway.
Is it hard being a Hall of Fame lineman and trying to coach the players, knowing that you're a Hall of Famer and they can't
it actually helps. I mean, because I tell them, I said, look, I'm not gonna get up here and X and O and try to have you do something that I know can't be done. I mean, and I think they know I've done it before. I treat them the way I want to be treated, and and they play pretty well.
Because I know a lot of Hall of Famers say it's tough for them to relate to these players because, again, they don't have the talent the Hall of Famer had, and getting inside their heads and realizing, listen, these guys can't do what I did because, again, their physical skills aren't what mine were.
No, there's, as a lineman, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, somebody tried to, ask me one time, they wanted to compare, me and Faneca when I was coaching in Pittsburgh. And I said, it's not even close. I said, the guy's 30 pounds heavier than I was. The guy, he's quicker than I was. He's stronger than I was. I mean, the guys today line, I mean, if you had a guy over 300, we had Jacoby, and everybody thought we had the biggest offensive line in the league. We had one guy over 300 when we got the nickname Hogs. And we were like the biggest line in the league. Nowadays, I mean, I can't remember any time in the last, 20 years of coaching that I had a guy under 300 pounds. So,
could linemen in your day compete in today's game, or they're just too small?
No, I think they could compete. I think they can compete. The good ones, they'll find a way to get it done.
Did you have a favorite moment in the NFL or a favorite game?
No, there's a lot of them. The Super Bowl run with Riggins in the Miami game. The big second quarter against the Broncos and in the '87 team. I mean, there's certain moments here and there, but no, after a while it all blends together.
What was it like when Doug Williams took you to that Super Bowl?
It was great. I mean, it's you tell people all the time. Jay Schrader won 11 games for us that year, and then Jay got hurt, and Doug stepped in, and Doug was hot, and we just stayed with Doug all through the playoffs.
Did you realize how momentous that was?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Super Bowl. George Rogers is a running back all the way to the Super Bowl, and then Gibbs says we're going to start Timmy Smith. And we're like looking around going, what? And he runs for 200 and some yards, a Super Bowl record back then. But, yeah, I mean, you just never know. Those are coaches' decisions, and, they panned out. So I guess it must have been a good call.
When you were coaching Pittsburgh, you had a big running back similar to Riggins and Jerome
Yeah.
Bettis. How similar were those two?
I think they're a lot different. Jerome has quicker feet. I mean, he can kind of shift his tiptoe through there. Where, I mean, John's like a train. He goes through the hole. He's not. He has. He had the state record at Kansas for the 100 meters coming out. So I mean, he's fast, but he's fast straight ahead. He's not a wiggly guy, make people miss. When he's coming through, he's staying on a straight line. Jerome can make people miss.